Welcome into the Flea Flicker Fancast on the Overt Sports YouTube channel. Carson and David here to talk about the post-Super Bowl blues that we are facing right now, and also give our last thoughts on the Super Bowl because it's been a minute since we've last talked with all of you, so glad you're with us here on the show. David, how you doing? Are you sad that NFL football is done for the year?
No, because I love the off season. I
right.
love the off season. Yeah.
This is our time to shine, right?
Exactly.
This is the fun stuff. This is the fun stuff.
I love seeing how these teams are going to get built.
As an avid Madden franchise player, I can definitely say I am excited for the offseason because that's one of the things I love about Madden the most is building the team and putting it together, so there you go. All right. Well, awesome.
Speaking of Madden, I would actually, every time I get the new Madden and I'm like playing the season of we're playing, I'm so afraid of jinxing the season of my team. So I simulate to the next season and actually start there. Like I do that every time. Like I don't want to.
Until you realize you're jinxing the next season.
Exactly. It makes no sense at all, but I do that every time.
There you go. There you go. Well, whether we jinx it or not, it's almost here. So the off season, that is. But before we get into too much off season stuff here, we got to talk about our last thoughts on the Super Bowl. I'm just gonna go out and say it. Like half the world, or at least half the people watching the game, was like, "It shouldn't have been a penalty on that obvious pull on Juju Smith-Schuster." Yeah. Oh, what? That's not a penalty. Come on. Yeah. Well, I think, and here's the thing. There are people that are saying you can't call it in that moment. You can't call it in that spot and that thing. It's like a penalty is a penalty. No matter what time of the game it is, no matter what the situation is, you call a penalty when it's a penalty. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, right?
Right.
Like that's the thing that just bugs me with people when they say that. It's like, no, you call the penalty if you've. Now, the only thing I would say is maybe consistency from that game could have been better from the officials, which that's always the thing with the officials in the NFL. But I think the call, you got to call it. Like, it was obvious. I don't think based on how far that ball went that Juju would have caught it, but it's still got to be called because it was before the pass was thrown. So, any thoughts on that?
I feel the same way. I don't get why people don't understand the way, penalties should be called. Like, oh, you can't call it in that moment. It's not basketball to where it's like, oh, these guys are banging in the paint. You just let them bang a little bit and not calling any fouls. It's not that. It's like you see a guy put his arm around him and then pull his jersey. That's considered holding on any play. And people got to understand if it was the other way around, you would want to call for Philly too. So you just got to be more disciplined as a, as a player because, hey, the calls are the calls. And I told a lot of Philly fans over the last week, like, you guys went into halftime up by 10. So I don't want to hear anything. Oh, they wanted Pat Mahomes to win and NFL to script it. But, okay. The Chiefs came out there with a different game plan and they won that game. They actually ran some of the same plays over and over again, and that defense couldn't even figure it out. And it was like 2 touchdown plays on the same play that they just ran it one to the left and then run to the right. Okay, like where is this Philly defense at? Like where's this Philly pass rush at?
I praised the Philly defense the last
I did too.
month of the season, and they They seem, there was some statistics, I told you about it already, David, but there's some statistic out there about how Jonathan Gannon's defense, Philadelphia defense, played against some of the best quarterbacks in the league,
Right.
like a Patrick Mahomes, like a Justin Herbert, I think was in there. Dak Prescott in there for 3 games or for 2 games or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And the numbers weren't good for Jonathan Gannon against some of the top 5 to 10 type of quarterbacks in the league. So,
Right.
and you would expect
And he
some of
still
those
got a head
numbers to be
coaching job.
down. Right, exactly. Which we'll probably get to at some point here,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like, well, maybe the true colors of that scheme, because I think it's more the scheme than anything on
Yes.
that. But yeah, those were coming out in that game. But
Yeah.
any other reactions that you have from this game? I thought Jalen Hurts played outstanding. There
Me
were
too.
some people
Me
that
too.
even thought that he could have won the MVP even though they lost, which
That's not gonna happen.
that there's only been one time in history that that's happened. And I know Patrick Mahomes didn't have a gaudy stat sheet with, at least with his yardage total, but he still was fantastic.
Right.
The fact that he had a high ankle sprain, you could tell he was in pain, and
Mm-hmm.
he's able to run the way he did in that game, able to play the way he did, throw 3 touchdowns, didn't throw an interception. Like, that is MVP. That is on the next level. Like, there's not a player, I think, in the league currently that would have been able to play like that. With that situation going on the way he did.
Yeah, he was tough as nails. I know those 2 weeks off kind of helped him out, but during the game, he hurt it again. He aggravated it again, and he still came out there and was making plays. He was efficient. He picked and chose his times to run. And what a lot of people are not saying, that there's people are talking about Mahomes, but Tony, that punt return in the Super Bowl to get them to probably like the 10, that's big. That's why during the trade deadline, you go for guys that can make that play in the Super Bowl that can just make a difference. Because
could be fun to see what he does next year.
Exactly. So I mean, once I saw him, I'm like, oh, he's gonna take it to the house. And then, his blockers ran out of gas, so he ran right into him. But that was a great play. I think the Chiefs just came in after halftime with a whole new game plan, and they had their way with the Philly defense. They could do no wrong, and it's going to be real interesting to see, going forward.
Yep.
And Pat Mahomes is the quarterback. He's the number 1 quarterback in the league now.
He's him, right? He's
him. Like this, the debate's over. Okay, it's Pat.
Yep. Sorry, Stefan. Sorry, Jay Jettis. Sorry, everybody else.
Yeah, Josh Allen, the Joe Burrows is Pat Mahomes.
He is him. Yep, absolutely. Anything else from the Super Bowl that stuck out to you? I think the biggest thing for me is still the Chiefs are going to be a big problem going forward for the AFC. I don't see it ending anytime soon, unless Andy Reid decides to hang it up. But even then, I mean, you still have the greatest quarterback in the league. So, and as long as he is able to play, even with a high ankle sprain,
right,
you probably have got a good shot of doing damage in the postseason. So
yeah, as long as you got him, Kelsey, and the O-line, you're fine.
Yeah. And honestly, I am excited. Hopefully someday we get to see Mahomes without Kelsey.
Yeah.
I want to see him without Kelsey because I want to see what he can do to elevate some of the players around him. And we've already seen it. We saw it in the Super Bowl. But
yeah,
I think you could take that tight end away from him and he could still be, I mean, not that you want to just have a high school caliber athlete out there, but you want to some sort of an NFL pro athlete out there. But I'd be interested to see if you had like an average tight end, how that offense would be, because I still think it would be really good.
Me too. Me too. Because that was the narrative going into the season that they're gonna regress because Tyreek Hill is not gonna be there anymore. And I mean, they didn't lose a beat; they actually got better. The ball got spread around a little bit more.
Now, as a Vikings fan, I think we would have a different point of view on that. If you take Justin Jefferson away, things would not be quite as good.
Yeah, we don't have Pat Mahomes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's the thing. We don't have a Pat Mahomes. I mean, it's different when you have a Pat Mahomes.
Exactly. But Kirk Cousins is the most valuable player on the Vikings, obviously. So, but anyways, no, no, I'm joking. But let's move on. Eric Bieniemy, David, he was hired as the offensive coordinator by Washington, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. I know we've talked about it at length in our group chat. Good for him. Glad he's got the opportunity. Now I think it's the moment for him where it's kind of the truth or dare. That's not the right word. The come to Jesus moment, if you will, so to speak. Basically his moment of truth. Moment of truth. There we go.
Moment of truth.
Is he as good as the billing? Is he as good as he is claimed to be? That's kind of the thing that we're waiting to see now from him. Now, I don't think there's a better place for him to go in terms of trying to prove how good he could be than Washington, because that offense is not good. I mean, you have Terry McLaurin, and that's pretty much it. So I think if you are going to have a test, this is the ultimate test for him,
right?
Because if you can do something with this Washington offense, you can do things with pretty much any offense, in my opinion.
Yeah. Correct. I agree.
What else do you think on that? Don't like it?
Bad move. I think it's just a move to kind of pacify people, to just say, oh, he's a good coordinator. He's not getting the looks, but there's a reason why he didn't get the looks. I mean, he's around the league. Is his bad attitude, is the way he treats players, the way he talks to players. I mean, that's just the old school coaching style. I mean, we deal with that with Mike Zimmer. It's like the Parcells stuff. It's okay to a certain extent until you can't reach the players anymore. And my thing with Bieniemy going to Washington as offensive coordinator / head coach. So basically, Ron Rivera is on the hot seat already, because this guy is an assistant coach coming in. So
right.
if they start 0-4 or whatever, then they're just going to fire him and give the team over to Bieniemy. I think this was something that was Andy Reid was really pumping him up after the offseason. I mean, after the Super Bowl, really pumping him up as, yeah, he's a good guy. And all of a sudden we saw it. It just doesn't really sit right with me. I would have thought the best destination for Bieniemy to go would have been Arizona, because he has a mobile quarterback, who can do sort of the things that Pat Mahomes can do. So you can bring pretty much your offensive playbook that you have to Arizona and kind of run the same plays that you have, that you had in Kansas City. But they didn't even interview him. And he didn't get any head coaching interviews this offseason. He got them last offseason, but not this one. And there's a reason for that. So I don't know if this is a play just to make people happy that he's getting the / head coaching, role, but I'm not buying it. Yeah. I'm not.
The one thing, we've talked about it before with black head coaches. There's not very many. We know that. And one thing I don't know if we've ever talked about this one, but Jim Caldwell, when he got fired from the Lions, got an absolutely rotten deal, because I don't know what your thoughts are on Jim Caldwell, but I thought he was doing a really nice job with the Lions,
Yeah.
considering they're the Lions and considering. And by the way, and I think he still is the winningest head coach in Detroit Lions history.
Right.
And that's, to me, like, how do you fire that guy? Like,
Right.
to bring in Matt Patricia, that's literally what they did. It's like, no, New England, New England's because of Bill Belichick. It's not because of Matt Patricia. I will tell you
Exactly.
that right now.
And it's out that you don't hire Belichick's coordinators to do anything because they can't name a Belichick coordinator
Right.
that has been successful outside of Belichick. I mean, we're happy we got Flores, which is cool, but he's our DC.
Right.
And the jury is still out on him. But Josh Daniels fizzled out so fast in Denver. Matt Patricia, look at what he did. Bill O'Brien over
Bill
there
O'Brien was a disaster.
in Houston. I mean, these guys don't pan out, so I don't understand what Detroit was thinking.
Bill O'Brien rode the coattails of Deshaun Watson those couple of years. That Deshaun Watson was actually good and also a good person at that time. Supposedly, maybe not. But that's a whole other debate for another time. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with it. I think, like I said, I think you kind of agree with me on this. Like, this is the ultimate test for Bieniemy. Like, to me, like, if he can fix this offense, because we don't even know if it could be Sam Howell that's the quarterback there.
But they're going to draft a quarterback, so
maybe they love Sam Howell though.
I don't know. But it's going to be a
by
test.
By the way, here's an underrated place for former Viking quarterback and former Commander quarterback Taylor Heinicke to go, which I had been thinking about this. I'd been sitting on this for a bit. The Miami Dolphins to be the backup for Tua Tagovailoa, because Taylor Heinicke, we've seen him be able to step in and play pretty well at times.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying I want him to be my franchise quarterback, but in a situation like that where we've seen the health issues with Tua already multiple times, I think it would be a great place for him to go, where there's very good chance that he could play multiple games this coming season.
Arizona.
Oh yeah, no, Arizona would be another good one. Yeah,
Kyler Murray's
with all
not
the
playing
weapons
this season.
too.
Yeah, exactly. He can actually go out there and shine. I mean, there's a couple destinations for him, but I do like Miami, because Miami, we don't know what's going to happen with Tua. I wish Tua the best, but we don't know. We have no idea what's going to happen with Tua. So he can go there and play some good games and maybe get a nice contract. But isn't what's the quarterback's name from Dallas? Because he's going to get a huge deal.
Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush is going to get a huge deal coming out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I am so excited for free agency, man.
Like, I can't wait.
It's going to be so much fun. Like, you're going to see so many oohs and ahs. Like, ooh, what's going on here? Oh, this team's looking to compete in 2023. Here we go. And then they flop like
3-14.
Like we saw the Eagles that one year when they got, you remember that year when they got like Nnamdi Asomugha and they got all these players.
Oh, this is going to be a dream team.
The dream team.
They had
the Vikings beat that dream team with Joe Webb.
They had Vince Young, Michael Vick. They had all those guys over there. Like, this is a dream team. Like, so it came out to be a nightmare.
What land are you dreaming in, boy?
That just goes to show you that just signing big names without chemistry and are past their prime is not going to work. It doesn't always work. You need guys that are going to niche and grow together sometimes. A big free agent signing here and there is big, but you can't just go out and sign all these big names and expect it to, equal at least a playoff appearance. And
right. Yep.
yeah, that team was just terrible.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, speaking of quarterbacks, big contract demands, David, for Mr. Lamar Jackson and Mr. Danny Dimes Jones. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it right now. I wouldn't pay either one of them. I wouldn't pay either one of them. I would, if I was both of these teams, take a chance in the first round on a quarterback and sign a veteran off the free agency market that's discounted and roll with that, because then, as you saw with Philadelphia this year, you get the opportunity to build around your young quarterback and give him the best opportunities to succeed. And we saw it with even San Francisco. That's how they got so far. And that's how the Bengals got to where they are. Joe Burrow's on his rookie contract. He's not making much money. So that's where I would go if I was both of these teams. If I'm the Ravens, I would trade Lamar for a ransom. I would trade Lamar for a ransom if I was the Ravens, but that's just me.
Yeah, but who's going to bite on that?
Oh, I'm sure somebody would. If somebody will trade for, who was it last couple of years? What quarterback got traded that I'm thinking? Or even last year with Matt Ryan. He got a third? Somebody gave up a third-round pick for Matt Ryan, and you're telling me you would give up at least a first-round pick for Lamar Jackson? Like that,
I would give up.
That would be at least his value. But that would be the least amount of value, I would think, at minimum of a first-round pick.
Okay. But I just think if you're Baltimore and you're trading Lamar Jackson, you're kind of playing your hand that you're afraid of the injuries also. So a team is going to come there and say, like, I'm not going to give you a first round pick for your guy when you know he's injury prone, and
or maybe they could say too, David, that we just don't want to pay him. We just don't want to pay him the money.
Yeah.
And we just can't because we've got so many other pieces that we need to keep on this team,
That's
like the
true.
Marlon Humphreys of the world, the Ronnie Stanleys of the world. You want to keep some of those guys on your team. Then you can't keep everybody, as we're finding out with the Vikings this year, or we should be anyway, unless you restructure for days. But eventually that runs out too. So
it does. I just think, I love Lamar Jackson. It's just it's the health concerns. This is the second year that at the end of the season he's not available, and that's a big concern. I just feel like if I'm Lamar Jackson, and this is probably hurting him too because he doesn't have an agent and they have to talk directly to him about what he wants to do with his contract. If I was Lamar, I would just sign a short-term deal, fully guaranteed, and it'd be like this is what I can do. Thank you for this ability. This is what I can do. I'm not going to sign anything that's close to the franchise tag, which is $45 million. I'm going to sign for like maybe 35 for the next 2 seasons. That way you guys can build around me and maybe we can make a run. But sometimes players have to think like that, because it's like you can probably demand, to be paid the highest paid quarterback at that time. But Lamar, you haven't been available.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's huge.
How do you feel about Daniel Jones? 45, give it to him?
Somebody will. I think Daniel. But that's the thing. That's the thing with quarterbacks. That's the thing with quarterbacks. The quarterback market is that's just what it is. It's just like you got guys that are middle of the pack quarterbacks making $30+ million a year, and that's just because that's what happens with quarterbacks. Look at Kirk Cousins. Is Kirk Cousins top 10? Probably not, but his contract is, and that's just the position that they play. It's just it commands that,
Yep. But, well, here's the thing. I would not pay more than probably $25 million a year for a non-elite quarterback. Basically,
Right.
anybody outside the top 5, I would probably not pay more than $25 million a year to. Like that's like unless you start talking about the cap getting raised to like 250 or 275, somewhere in that range, then maybe we can talk a little bit.
Right.
But the cap has to go up more. And I mean, I'm not just talking 10 to 20 million. I'm talking like
I
30,
agree.
40, $50 million more a year before I can think about, okay, I'm good. Unless I have a Patrick Mahomes, then I'll pay him whatever he wants. I'll pay him the whole
Right.
salary cap if I have to. No, that'd be too much. But you get what I mean. Like that's how
Yeah, I
good
get what you
Patrick
mean.
Mahomes is, you know?
Yeah, but the thing with that, with the salary cap, growing, the quarterbacks just keep getting paid more and more. So it
Yeah.
doesn't really make a difference. The salary cap grows. I remember when Kirk Cousins signed his deal, I was like, oh my God, fully guaranteed. And it's like 2 years later, that contract is like, oh, he's on a good deal now,
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just, I think maybe the league needs to implement something that they implemented with the rookie wage scale. Maybe they have to do something with the quarterback scale, because if you're going to have the cap keep going up and these quarterback contracts keep going up, is not helping.
Yep.
It's just not helping at all.
There needs to be a hard cap for player annual salary that can be adjustable with the years.
Right.
Like, okay, this year the max a player can make is this. Like there's it's like the NBA with the Supermax thing, right? Like there's they can only go to a certain amount in the NBA, right? Like with a deal.
And the Supermax has restrictions. Like I call it a Supermax the Chris Paul LeBron deal, because at that time, the CBA was lockout or whatever, and Chris Paul was kind of making his own rules so he can get his own contract. But you have to be like all pro, all NBA, first team. You have to make an all-star appearance. You have to lead some kind of statistical category. That's why guys like Russell Westbrook and John Wall, they cashed in on those Supermaxes, because Russell Westbrook was an MVP at years ago, Supermax, and then John Wall was like all NBA. That would eliminate guys like Kirk Cousins, who are not going to the Pro Bowls every year and are not all NFL. So he can't command that super. He can't command that super max NFL contract. Right. That's a great idea. I never thought about it. That's a great idea.
I don't think it should be Pro Bowl, because the Pro Bowl is ludicrous and voting for that is stupid, and they name alternates all the time.
Right.
But if you're talking about like all pro and second team all pro,
yes.
I think it's just first and second team, or is there a third team?
I think it's first and second.
I think it's first and second too.
Basketball's third. Yeah.
But if you're talking about that, I would jump on that if I was the NFL. Yeah. Now the Players Association probably will not go for it, but and the only thing is too, David, like it's different with the NFL, right? Because players are much more susceptible to long-term injuries, where the NBA and baseball for the most part, and like other sports like that, like there's not as many long-term injuries with those sports. But with football, like these players, like I'm not blaming any player for wanting to make the most money they can. Like there's no like I'm not, but I'm just saying from a team's perspective that's trying to stay within the salary confines of a cap, they need to not give out so much money to these players. Like everybody just wants, oh, well, you got to pay up. You got to pay up. Well, eventually if you keep paying up for everything, you're screwed.
Yeah. I mean, just look at it. Before the NFL implemented the rookie wage scale, Jamarcus Russell, guy never played one NFL down, was like one of the highest paid quarterbacks, and he did nothing.
Right.
So they have to put something in. in. You got to earn it, and now they're earning it, and it's just way too much.
Or we just need to have more performance-based deals.
Yes. Yes. It's more escalators in their contracts. Yeah.
Yep. And then too, like that gives players motivation to actually do well And then you don't, and then the NFL, I'm sure, is probably thinking about ways they can stop tanking. And that would help with tanking too, because if you have multiple players that have these things that they can do, like, okay, you need to get 80 receptions to have an extra $5 million given to you, or whatever, like just a hypothetical. Or, you need to throw for 40 touchdowns to get an extra $10 million. Something along those lines. Then, if you're a quarterback, you're not going to be trying to tank, right? Like, you're going to be
You're not
trying
gonna
to
be
do your
dogging it,
best.
yeah.
You're going to be a wide receiver trying to go out and get more money, like, unless you've made so much money that you really don't care. And at that point, then your bonuses probably should be higher. But or whatever. But no, I think more of those value or performance related contracts would be a huge thing for the NFL. We need to see more of that, I think.
Maybe it's something to where it's like you have your basic NFL salary cap, but then you have your incentive salary cap. So your base NFL salary cap is like 10 million a season, just basically for you coming, playing, practicing, or whatever. But if you're hitting all your escalators, the max you can get on your bonuses may be 25.
Right.
And you might not reach 25 every year. You might reach 17 some years or whatever. But that way it keeps the books a little bit better. Come on, NFL. Look at this
and
podcast and hire us.
And that's the way the real world works, right? Like,
exactly.
If you perform better at your job, you get paid more, right? Usually.
Right.
And if not, then that sounds like an owner problem. But that, to me, is how the world works. Like, and that's how it should work in the NFL in that sense. Obviously, NFL players make more money than most of us. And that's the way it is because they're world-class athletes,
And a lot of them are broke.
Right. Adrian Peterson,
Yeah.
There's one example, I think even like a Dante Culpepper, who maybe didn't make a ton, but he made good money in the league, but there's other examples too, which is sad because if you make that kind of money, like, I mean, there is some of that money can go fast for sure.
Yes.
But if you're making like money like what Kirk Cousins has made in his career, there's no reason you should ever have to do anything again. Like, if you've made $200+ million in your career, like, save it, man. Like, you if you're spending that kind of money in a few years, you need to check yourself.
There's some problems out there for you if you're doing that. Yeah.
Like, I just think to myself what I would do with $1 million. Like, like, I'd buy a house and then a car, and then what? Then I've got, it's like then I just put the rest in savings, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's just one of those things with the NFL. Some ideas, but you never know. It's probably
you never know.
It'll change not soon.
It'll change because NFL is always constantly evolving. They're gonna have to get better. So, especially with them in this Europe situation and stuff like that too. So they got to figure it out.
All right, David. Well, let's hit our final few topics. We won't spend too much time here. What does Philadelphia do now? They've lost both their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, Shane Steichen, going to the Indianapolis Colts to be their head coach, and Jonathan Gannon going to Arizona to be the defensive coordinator for the Cardinals. Before we continue on Philadelphia, bad hire, by the way, Jonathan Gannon. I just do not think. I mean, maybe I'll be proven wrong, but I don't think that was a good hire for the Arizona Cardinals. And I think that Arizona Cardinal organization is becoming quickly very similar to a Houston or to a not necessarily that they're going to lose a lot, but that they are becoming dysfunctional and they're not picking good head coaches, or they are not giving the head coaches enough time, that kind of thing. Where I just, with Jonathan Gannon, like I said, the defensive numbers against good quarterbacks concern me. And last I checked, there's a pretty good one over there, right? The NFC West.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be interesting. I just don't see it working for him. I do like Shane Steichen. I think the Colts made a pretty good hire there. I mean, I think there could have been a better one maybe out there, but I do think that one is a better hire than the other one for sure.
I think Arizona botched the whole situation. Yep. My opinion. I think
they should have got Flores, I think, but
I think not even Flores. I think they shouldn't have did this. I think the moment they seen Kyler Murray go down and he's going to probably miss this season or half of the season, you're not going to be contended for anything. The best thing that you could have did is run it back and
Kingsbury.
Basically run it back with Kingsbury, run it back with the GM, because any coach that you're going to bring in here is not going to have Kyler Murray either for the whole season or half of the season. So you can't really evaluate them the right way. So why would you fire everybody? And what are you going to do at quarterback?
Right.
You can't, you don't have the
Taylor
money
Heineke, to sign baby.
Yeah, like what are you gonna do? Like, I just if I was ownership, then I would just be like, you know what? The franchise guy is hurt. Let's just run it back with everybody and see what happens. You know, we'll fire everybody after this season. At least we'll have a healthy Kyler going in that season, and there we go. But they botched it. But as for Philly, it's gonna be interesting. I know teams regress, but it's gonna be interesting to see how they do next season.
Yeah. So the NFC West, by the way, I was thinking quarterbacks. Maybe they don't have a great quarterback in that division anymore. Matthew Stafford's still pretty good if he's healthy.
Matthew Stafford.
And then Geno Smith, if he does what he did this past year, then yeah. I mean, that's tough opponents. And then who knows? Yeah, who knows what the San Francisco quarterback situation will be if they roll with Trey Lance or if they trade for Kirk Cousins. My gosh, wouldn't that just be something if the Vikings actually fooled everybody and just went full rebuild this offseason? Like, what? I don't see it happening. I don't think anybody does. But would that be just something if they just decide to say, screw it,
it's going to make some cool content.
All Bears. Yes, it is. Oh, yeah, it is. You better
It's going to be some cool content, man.
Which you can find on the Skull Purple Podcast YouTube channel, by the way.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. But, yeah, I think Arizona, David, could very well finish last in that division. And I'm not just meaning for next year. I mean for the next few years. Like, it could be a tough time there because their offensive line is not great. They do have weapons on offense, but they don't have an offensive line. They don't have anything on defense right now, really, do they? Like, they've got J.J. Watt, who just retired.
Buda Baker.
Buda Baker's really good. Yep, that's a good point. But Byron Murphy, he's a free agent, probably gone. One of their better corners. J.J. Watt's gone. The rest of their defensive line, Zach Allen, I believe, is a free agent as well. So if I'm a free agent, why would I want to go to Arizona?
They're going to have to overpay guys to go there now.
Other than the weather and other than maybe getting a good payday. Like you said, overpaying them, like
overpay guys. Yeah.
It's not going to be to win because they're not winning anything next year other than maybe a few games. I think they're going to be very similar to the Bears. I think their roster overall is better than the Bears, obviously, but very similar to the Bears in terms of wins. I think I could see them anywhere between 4 to 7 wins next year, and 7 is 7 is, I'm feeling pretty generous when I say 7.
If you
What are
think
your
about
thoughts?
that, if you're going in, if you're a new head coach, with Gannon, and you're going in your first season as your first year as a head coach, and you win 4 games, yeah, you might not have your quarterback, but it's still like, you're a defensive guy. Maybe you should stop guys. Maybe you should, like, it's going to be a lot of pressure that second year. Why would you do that to yourself? I just don't understand it. Like, why would you do that to yourself? And I think that's why Flores probably bolted. Like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait
yeah.
for. I'm just. It's not going to
Opportunity.
work. Yeah, better opportunity. I can sit. If whatever I do in Minnesota, if I make this defense top 20, it's a step in the right direction, and it doesn't hurt my resume. But you go to Arizona, and what can you do? Just like you said, the defense, Buda Baker, you might have to trade him to get more pieces and try to develop those guys.
Well, Arizona, if you're looking to trade a really good safety, there might be a team in the NFC North that could be interested. The Vikings, perhaps.
Yeah, but
trade him up straight up for Lewis Cine, baby.
No. No.
No for the Cardinals? Yeah, no, I agree.
No.
They would never do that, but
they never do that.
But that would be great. That'd be great for the Vikings.
Yes, it would.
Big names that are cap casualties. Who did you have in mind, David, in this category?
One of my guys is going to be Zadarius Smith.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a cap casualty. Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey could.
Jalen Ramsey's
if he's not traded.
Also,
yeah,
I think they just outright cut him. I don't
really. Wow.
I don't think, yeah,
that would be huge on the free agent market.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah. I think there's an outright cut him. Who else am I thinking?
How about feed me Ezekiel Elliott?
Yeah, that's not a surprise though. Yeah,
but he's a big
name. He's a big name.
He's a big name.
Yeah. These names are saying might be the first wave.
Yeah.
Of the cuts. Like, guys gotta go. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who else could potentially.
Dalvin Cook is one of them also.
Be in there. Dalvin Cook.
Mm-hmm. Keenan Allen.
Yeah, that's right. Keenan Allen could become a free agent, or sounds like that was another big one.
Yeah,
which I don't know how much he's got left in the tank. I mean, in his prime and when he was healthy, fantastic.
Yeah, he was great.
But now it's like getting a little older, maybe losing some of that speed.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of in the same boat as Adam Thielen. I don't think he's quite as cooked as Adam Thielen yet, but
no, he's not.
I think he's kind of headed in that direction. But maybe next year he'll have a renaissance. Who knows?
Stephon Gilmore,
yeah, could be another one.
Chris Godwin.
Pair him next to JJ. What do you think?
This guy gets hurt too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd rather pair.
If I'm Tampa Bay, by the way, we're just rambling here. But if I was Tampa Bay, I would very much consider tanking.
Yes.
Now that Brady is gone, I would consider trading a bunch of my guys. Like, the only thing is, it would be sucky for Todd Bowles, because then he could be fired, and we'd have more conversations about black coaches and getting fired, and
right.
It's like
not getting the opportunity,
not getting the right opportunities. So, yeah, it would be interesting though, because that division is, you could maybe even have a quick fix there for Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
like if they brought in the right quarterback. Maybe Derek Carr doesn't go to the Jets. Maybe Derek Carr doesn't go to the Saints and goes to the Bucs. You never know. or the Texans if they're wanting a quarterback for a year. I'm guessing they're drafting somebody, but
I don't know about
we'll
that
see.
franchise. They're incompetent.
Yeah.
I don't know about them over there. Yeah.
I hope the best for old D'Amico, but yeah, they've got some work to do. They did bring in some good rookies, though, I thought, last year. Derek
Yeah, they
Stingley and
did.
Jalen
Dameon
Petrie.
Pierce.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
Dameon
Dameon
Pierce.
Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, all right, David, last topic here for us. Top 3 front offices going into free agency. I'll go ahead and start out with the Chiefs. I think that front office has it all together. They aren't going to have probably much money to spend, but they will more than likely make a really good move. A short move potentially, but really good move. Seems like they just nailed every pick in the draft last year, so
Yeah.
it's like watching The Price is Right, and the guy just keeps on. They just keep on getting it right. Like it's just like you got it again. It's like that is just incredible what they've done with that team this past year. Who do you got as in your top 3 there?
I got 2. I got a couple. San Francisco.
Oh yeah. Yep.
San Francisco, like they really haven't missed a beat with all these quarterbacks. Like I'm not just saying this year with these quarterbacks. I mean, the Kaepernick years, they went down a little bit. They trade for Garoppolo, get right back in the Super Bowl. I mean, they run pretty good. So
yep.
San Francisco's up there. And even though they don't have any first round draft picks because of the Trey Lance trade, but they're still in a great position right now.
Mm-hmm.
I
would dare to put Buffalo in there, but
yeah, Buffalo too. That
was
my other one.
I'm gonna say, David, I would put them in the top 3, depending on what they do this offseason. Because this offseason, to me, and we've talked about it on this show before, for the Buffalo Bills is very important. Mm-hmm. And if they make some bad moves or can't re-sign some guys, and they don't really do well drafting, then things could start to go downhill a little bit for Buffalo. So, it'll be interesting to see what they can do. I mean, I think based on the moves that Howie Roseman pulled last year, like you've got to at least throw him into the conversation. Philadelphia. Yeah. So I think you got to throw him in there. Kansas City, I really like that pick from you there with San Francisco. After that, kind of running out of names.
Minnesota.
Honestly. Yeah. No, we'll see.
Minnesota.
We'll see. Minnesota. It was a good start.
Yeah, it's a good start. Yeah. But it's crazy that we talk about these front offices, and it seems like the front offices that make the best moves have the best quarterbacks in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like weird how that works, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird how that works. Like San Francisco, they have the quarterback
whisperer like they know what to do.
Exactly. Like, because
it's in the script. Pick this guy. Pick this guy. He's gonna be great.
Right.
Vikings, you can't pick a good quarterback. It's against your DNA. You can't do it.
Yeah, you can't do it. You can't do it.
So you got to sign a free agent. That's just the only
all
way.
the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
But and then the Packers probably have the next generation of great quarterback play in Jordan Love, right? So
the next three straight Hall of Fame quarterbacks back to back. Like, come on now.
No, I don't think Jordan Love will be, but that's what some people in Green Bay are thinking. So
nah, because that's all they know.
That's right. That's all they know.
So
it must be right. It's got to be. He's got to be good, right?
Yeah, it's gotta be good. So.
I sure hope not. But anyways, that's going to bring us to an end here on the Overt Sports Flea Flicker Fancast on the Overt Sports YouTube channel. And we will be back with plenty more off-season content for you all. And hope you enjoy your off-season. We might sprinkle in some XFL or some USFL talk at some point, depending on how we're feeling. But we'll keep you in the loop as we get to that point. But David, thanks for joining me. Thank you all for watching. And we will catch you in the next.